Oh, that's loud.
That is loud, especially when you have your headphones on and you're like, oh, I haven't turned my volume down, and your volume's all the way up, and now you're deaf. So
I've got these really big speakers on my desk, and it's just like the THX moment,
yeah. Hey guys, welcome to the FSF PopCast Sidebar. Tonight we will be talking about the Skeleton Crew episode 5, and we are very excited to have you guys here for this tonight. As the banner says down below, please remember that we are talking about something that has been aired. So if you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, this is your spoiler warning. There will be spoilers throughout the entirety of this conversation if you have not seen episode 5 already. But lots going on in this episode, lots to talk about. But before we get to that point, let's just quickly acknowledge our show sponsors and partners. That, of course, is Bones Coffee. If you go to Bones Coffee Company, bonescoffee.com, the proper link is down in the show notes down below. But if you go there and use the code FSF Podcast, you will get 10% off your order. TCT, where fandom meets fashion. You can go there and buy yourself some cool, localized nerd merch. A lot of for the states here in the Midwest. Eddie AI, they do our shorts and all those kind of fun things that you see on TikTok, YouTube, and all that fun stuff. And of course, Level Up Sabers. They are, of course, the lightsaber that is guaranteed to be better than a stick.
And TCT makes some really awesome shirts like the ones for Michigan. And then it also makes them for Ohio. So, I mean, take that with a grain of salt.
Well, we really don't talk about that other state to the south too much, so it really doesn't matter. But, the sad part is they actually have a really cool Deadpool design. And I'm like, nope, still can't buy it. Like I wanted to because it's Deadpool, but it's also really close to the colors of that sucktastic school to the south that Michigan has beat 4 years in a row. Anyway, that's also not the point. All right. Anyway, okay, so
I've got nothing to add. You're totally accurate.
But hey, so if you guys haven't signed up already, there's a link down in the show notes down below for you guys to win free loot. One of the free loots you can win is a digital code to this movie right here, Gladiator 2. So bring home Gladiator 2 on digital now. Denzel Washington, Pedro Pascal, Paul Mescal, and Connie Nielsen star in this action-packed epic. By the film critics are calling one of the most entertaining films of the year, and get an hour of next-level extras, including deleted scenes, featurettes, and more. Available at participating retailers, rated R, from Paramount Pictures. But you don't have to buy it. You could win one if you go to the link that says win free loot. Click on that, give us your name and email address, and we will put you in the running not only for this giveaway, but you are automatically entered for every giveaway moving forward. So it's kind of the gift that keeps on giving. Kind of like, Chevy Chase's Jolly of the Month Club and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Thanks, Cousin Eddie. So, and although
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Really?
Really?
Really, really?
Really, really?
John, my heart hurts. Like, seriously. You don't even have to like Christmas to love that movie. That is like, I watch that in the summertime. It is an amazing, anyway. Okay.
It's the appropriate time to watch a Christmas movie, right?
Oh, I am hurt to my soul, sir. Anyway, enough about that. Also, we mentioned some show sponsors and things. They don't know it tonight, but tonight's frivolity and misgivings and poor attempts at grammar are purely the benefit of Dragon's Milk. Mine is just the bourbon aged barrel stout.
Yeah, mine is the Crimson Keep bourbon barrel aged. I can't read the rest of it because my lighting is crap. But Crimson Keep, really good. Wonderful gift from a very good friend.
Space Pirates. Yes, we were definitely going to talk about Space Pirates.
Oh, my mom is finally starting to watch the show.
Oh, and John. Hi, John.
Yeah, I have to wonder, does Pedro keep his helmet on in this movie?
Oh, that'd be funny if he did, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see his face for a little bit there, but you also see his face for a little bit in Mandalorian, so one does have to wonder.
Yep.
But yeah, again, please go to click the link at the bottom where it says win free loot. Get yourself signed up. Get a chance to win a free copy of Gladiator 2.
Yes,
all right, and also coming up on January 18th is Trek Talks 4. we mentioned this because it's a wonderful opportunity to support the Hollywood Food Coalition, which helps distribute food to the ever so deserving and needy. But yeah, that's coming up on January 18th. And just a few days before that, Mr. John Billingsley himself, Dr. Phlox from Star Trek's Enterprise, will be right here on the FSF podcast to talk about that, answer your questions about Star Trek, and much, much more frivolity. So,
and we don't have a 5-second delay. There will be no editing. So whatever is said and done just happened.
It just happened because it's John and he's the right kind of unhinged. And I love it.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, let's get into it. Space pirates.
Oh my goodness. So much fun.
Right? So I love this scene because they have SM-33 or Smee all tied up until they're like, can you get us to At Attin? And he's like, absolutely. And he just undoes the ropes, just stands up and snaps all the ropes.
Yep.
I don't want to see his head split like a watermelon again. Okay. But back to Space Pirates.
Yes.
Back to the Space Pirates. But yeah, so yeah, because they're I love how they're like, no, you do it. No, you do it. No, you turn him on. No, you turn him on. And finally they're like, KB, you do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like anything that like kids want to do, but they're all scared to do.
Right?
Or
who could be the first one?
Yeah.
It's like Finding Nemo. You go touch the butt.
Nemo touched the butt.
Nemo touched the butt. I love how we can make movie references out of anything. Okay, so
I love when I can hear the laugh.
Right?
Yeah.
Then we also have this scene here of this would be Wim's father trying to find, use the booster given to him by Neil's mother.
And I think anybody who has like a serious corporate desk job felt this with the
right.
You plugged in an unauthorized USB device. What were you doing?
Right. Show me your hands. The one hand goes up. Now show me your other hand. Goes back behind him. Show me your both hands.
It's like dealing with a 6-year-old.
Right? I was laughing because honestly, as I was watching this, I was thinking about you and your wife dealing with your daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, John probably did that this afternoon.
Yep.
But the one the scene that I don't have an image for is shortly after this we see the droid reporting to Farah, which is Fern's mother, who is the undersecretary. And there's a lot of interesting theories floating around about her having connections to the First Order.
Really?
Yeah. And how the only other undersecretaries that are mentioned by name so far in Star Wars lore have villainous attachments.
Huh.
So,
okay.
Yeah, because there was a theory I read early on about how somebody felt like she was definitely had Sith leanings.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it could be kind of interesting to see where that goes, what actually happens, how it proceeds. Kathleen says, wait, what? You haven't watched? She hasn't watched any Skeleton?
My mom hasn't. And so we're getting her into the show because,
Well, welcome to Space Goonies.
Yeah, Goonies in space with all the pirate references you could ever want.
Exactly. Okay. I was like, wait a second. I was pretty sure Kathleen had been watching this. I was confused. But we do see in this episode, we see Farah tell the droid that we see here to delete all memory of this and power down.
The wiping of droid memory is a running theme in this show. It's like every other episode. But I mean, in this show in particular, it's like almost every episode. Well, 3 out of 5 at least.
Well, yeah, because Smee's had his memory wiped.
Yeah.
Fern did it with the nanny droid at home.
Right. And that's not something we're used to seeing because, like you just mentioned, R2, he's had his memory since episode 1, as far as we know.
Right. As far as we know, it's never been wiped. So then it cuts back to the ship, and we see Smee talking to the kids and Jod Na Nawood. I just like saying that. If that is his real name. Because as we're going to find out in this episode, he's known by at least 2 other names now.
Well, he didn't get a deal with last episode, so they're making.
He did not, but they're making up for it for sure. But they start talking about where they're going to go, and Smee starts talking about how he remembers Skull Mountain and he's going to get him there. And this is what they pull up to.
They ruined it.
They ruined Skull Mountain. Yeah. Yeah. It was fantastic.
Which it makes sense that, pirates would eventually get comfortable and then just want massages and to soak their feet and get, drinks brought to them. This is just a natural development.
Well, and I thought so too. Well, I didn't think about the, wanting to get, massages, but I thought about them getting comfortable, maybe trying to find something to cover, what's the cover story for where they're hiding their treasure. And so I thought, well, actually that kind of makes sense. As we're pulling up to it, we see the opulence of it too. And I thought, well, maybe some of the treasure has paid for some of this to be so, refined looking.
Yeah. And then why work for your money when they will just bring the money to you?
Exactly. So now I no longer have to go out and scavenge and pirate for money, because I'm going to get the rich folk without their kids, because that was a very important part as they're flying in. They're getting rich folks only, adults to come and just give of their money. So they're receiving money. So to me, it really did make sense as a cover story that this would be Skull Mountain currently, and as a hiding place of Captain Renaud's treasure.
Yeah.
But this lady cracked me up. I mean, genuinely cracked me up.
Yeah.
Because so they got this beautiful surrounding, just absolutely beautiful surrounding. And here comes the Cinder to land. And she's like, oh my God, call in the waste management. We're going to have a situation here. And as she's saying that, something falls off the ship.
Didn't it spill liquid too?
Possibly. I was laughing too hard at whatever fell off the ship and clanked against the ground.
Good stuff.
The timing of it was perfect. So whoever, was, thought that would be a funny joke at Lucasfilm, well done. You tickled my funny bone. I thought it was hilarious. And I got some chuckles out of that.
Yes,
but the camera pans around and we see these mud bath areas as it all gets explained to Jod Na Nawood. And of course, those who are following behind him, the wise old elders.
Yeah.
The wise old elders who don't speak basic.
Right.
Uh-huh.
It's a decent enough cover. I mean, you don't know what every species in the galaxy is. I don't even know what every language on this planet is. So, I struggle with English. We've been there.
I mostly speak English. Especially after a couple of these. So, but yeah, so it was I thought it was actually a good cover story as well for the kids.
Yeah.
For the most part, they pulled it off pretty well, except for like when they're trying to check in.
Yeah.
Which is coming up. They get a little bit here. They almost kind of give themselves away here in line where they're getting the wreaths, the lays put on their necks, and they take away Jod's knife. And I love the fact that he was like, very strict rules when they thrust this giant drink in his face, and he's like, but very fair, and starts taking a sip.
I like that too.
Yeah.
I haven't had that reaction by having weapons taken away, but it's like, I don't know if I want to. Oh, look.
Ooh, shiny, trinky.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that was kind of entertaining, but he got his weapon back anyway because he force pulled it back to himself.
Yes. And SM-33 having the restraining bolt to prevent him from any violent action. It takes what?
Why
2.5 seconds? Yep. That gives me an idea for Scurvy. Hang on.
Right?
I need to make a note. Scurvy, restraining bolt. Ben, don't watch this. Actually, no, watch this. I want you to know what's happening.
It's kind of funny too with this episode for me is that there was a perfect balance of, it wasn't like slapstick or crazy humor, but there was attempts at humor, and I found that most of it landed pretty well. There was a couple things I think that wasn't supposed to be funny, but I kind of chuckled about it anyway. We'll get to that in a little bit. One of the creatures I couldn't find a good picture of because he was in such dark lighting, and I couldn't alter the picture well enough to do this. And he comes up later in the episode, but that's Cathalops. I would have loved to have gotten a better picture of him, but he was in such a dark area and such dark lighting, he was hard to get. But I liked the fact, he was like so menacing at first. Then he's like, "Ooh, if you survive, I'd love to hear your stories. I'll help you if you'll entertain me."
Yep.
I just, it just kind of made me chuckle though.
What was that voice?
What voice?
I'll help you if you entertain me.
I'll help you if you entertain me.
All right. Just checking. Anyway.
Why? What voice was that?
No, I was just curious if you could do it again. Thank you.
Did I do it again?
You did.
Oh, okay.
It's a great character voice. Anyway.
Okay. All right. So, well, that happened. But as Jod is in trying to get himself checked in, he slides an Old Republic credit across the table to the lady checking in and calls himself Professor Gorlax because that's the name he sees on the screen.
Yep.
Which we'll get back to in just a moment. But while he's checking in the wise old elders who are totally acting like kids on vacation behind him, looking at people down in the mud baths and joking around and ha-haing it up because that's what kids of that age would totally do.
Oh, yeah. They're kids of any age, middle-aged men, whatever.
Totally. I can just see my wife checking in and I'm over there like, oh, throw a grape at them, see if they notice. You've
done that, haven't you? That was oddly specific. You've done that.
I have never done such a thing, and I would never do such a thing in the future. Anyway. I can neither confirm nor deny that this has happened at a vacation somewhere that we have attended. So, maybe even at a Walt Disney owned resort. Anyway, possibly.
Okay,
it was years ago. They can't. I'm pretty sure that the statute of limitations on that one is gone.
I can apparently go back into Chuck E. Cheese, so you might be able to go back to Disney.
See, there you go. I keep forgetting there's a story there with you and Chuck E. Cheese, and you're gonna have to remind me of that one later. But we'll save it for later.
Yeah, the next time we do a Know Your Nerds thing, I'll
there
tell
you
the
go.
Chuck E. story.
Maybe I'll tell my grape story then. Okay, so all right. But like I said, so as he's at the registration table, the kids are acting up behind him. He's there. He's sliding credits across the table. And once the kids really start acting up, he just drops the whole bag of credits right in front of her. And almost immediately, we meet Pocket.
Yeah.
Who is, you can tell, now she's saying she's not angry, but I've been married long enough to know that she is genuinely angry. She says no hard feelings.
Yeah, this was very much the running into your ex that like you're the one who screwed everything up moment.
Yes.
And the 100%. Hey, so you're not going to stab me when I turn around, are you? Of course not. All right, so I'm just going to back away and keep my eyes on you. That's how this is going to work.
I will not turn my back to you, but I will step away from you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of actually hoping we see more from Pocket because I just thought her voice was really cool. And I liked the idea of having one more person out there who's really not all that thrilled with Jod Na Nawood, also known as Crimson Jack, Captain Silvo, or as she called him while we were standing there, Dash Zenton, which is one of the new names that we get to know him by in this episode.
I don't think she's going to show up again.
Probably not, but
not unless she's acid proof.
Well, no, she was not in with that crew that went down.
She wasn't? I thought I saw her.
I'll watch it again because, it's Star Wars. But I believe that she was not with the crew that went down. We're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit in this review, but she was not in with the acid swimmers.
Okay.
I don't believe. I believe that she called in to Brutus and then, she just kind of stayed off to the side. He sent his two best ships. So, and if you watched this episode and you thought, by golly, by gosh, that voice sounds really noticeable. I know I've heard that voice somewhere. You have. You definitely have. She's the voice of Merida. Kelly MacDonald is the voice of Merida in Brave. So Yeah, if you thought that her voice sounded really oddly familiar, there's a reason. So Kelly MacDonald, the voice of Merida. Hello, Jesse.
Howdy.
Howdy. So yeah. And I just, so I mean, I'm a sucker for that accent anyway, but it was just really kind of cool to hear it.
Too.
And with that character, and I liked the whole vibe she had going. It was very space piratey cool. I don't know how to best put it, but I thought it was cool.
Scottish space pirate.
Exactly.
Ailstorm in space. Anyway.
Exactly. See, you get it. See, this guy gets it. All right. But from here, they did get a room. They go up there, and the kids immediately start doing what kids do. There was a bed. They're jumping on it.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, Jod's on the other side of the room trying to plan ahead with Smee, and he's slightly freaking out because he knows what's coming. He knows that they're about to be in trouble because he knows that even though she said that she wasn't angry, she was angry, and she might not be personally going to kill him because she said she wasn't going to do that, but she did make a phone call or a video call or a hologram call, whatever you want to call it. She made that call and talked with Brutus, our favorite Shistavanian.
Is he a Shistavanian or a Defel? Because they're similar but different, and
everything that I've seen about him has called him a Shistavanian. Now,
okay.
That was also nothing that was Star Wars official, so it may be people calling him a Shistavanian, and he may be the other thing that you just said.
Defel, right?
Yes, them.
They're scarier.
So,
wait, yeah, I'm getting more ideas. I need notes. Anyway,
moving on. Crap,
Sorry.
This is recorded, and you'll be able to watch it again. Dang it. Anyway,
doesn't mean I'll remember anything.
This is so going to come back to haunt us. Kathleen, I hope you're being prepared because this is totally going to come back to haunt us in our Star Wars RPG next month. Anyway, so they finally make a plan of attack. They decide who's going where, who's checking what place first. And I love it too because the kids are all like, well, if he's going over there, I want to be with him and we're going to be a team. And, you know, I want to be with...
Anytime you take a group of kids anywhere, trying to get them to organize into separate groups is just pulling teeth.
I don't think you're wrong, Kathleen. He keeps saying that he's not going to kill us, but I think that there's a TPK on its way. Exactly. I got a bad feeling about this.
You know, I much prefer the take on that from Solo. I've got a good feeling about this.
Anyway, John will no longer be with us tonight. So,
and right after he said that, everything went to crap. So
I got to take away those admin abilities. Anyway, so after they finally make crickets. After they finally make their teams up and they go out and start looking for things, Jod comes across these carvings in the wall, and he gets called by another new name, a name that we hadn't heard before, and he gets called Jodwick Zank. So we've known him by all these other names, and now he gets two new names, Dash Zenton and Jodwick Zank, in this episode. Because the guy calls him Professor Gorlox, and he goes, "You're Professor Gorlox?" And he's like, "Yes, I am. He's from the planet Scipio." And I didn't catch this on the first watch through, but as soon as he says that, because he didn't know where Gorlox was from, as soon as he said Scipio, Jod goes, "Run!" And they turn around and start taking off because he realizes there's no way this guy is from Scipio. And if you're watching wondering, well, how could he be possible that he's from Scipio? Well, if you remember at the beginning of the episode, they talked about the banking clan being there, and that's why there was so much additional security. The banking clan, one of the 5 core planets of the banking clan, is the planet of Scipio. And the folks from Scipio, well, they look like this. They have giant tall heads.
Yeah, they're Mun.
Yeah.
Not Olivia Munn, but Mun.
Right. Ooh, might be a good casting. Mun. Anyway. This is why we can't have nice things.
Now that song's played in my head. Thanks, Kathleen.
But yeah, you know, it's so yeah, it's definitely clear that these guys are Jod rather is not one of these Scipioians. Scipioians, Scipioites, Siporians,
Mun.
They're not Mun. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
It's it's one of those things where it's clearly easily identifiable because of the elongated skulls. It's a natural characteristic. See, hey, Granzer, howdy, Tim and John. Sorry I'm late. Computer running slow and trying to get back to it. My RFT files, WordPad. Understandable. Life
Windows,
happens. Windows, huh? Yeah, understood. But yeah, glad you made it here. Glad you could have some fun with us. Oh, hey, and Granzer will appreciate this. Check out the new hoodie. There we go. There we go. Yeah, one pride. Anyway,
and now they've got a bye week, so the playoffs are going to be even easier.
No, they still have to play Monday night.
Well, they do, but going into the playoffs, they'll get a bye week because they won. They won. Who lost? It was like the same day.
I thought Green Bay had to lose this week.
Maybe, I don't know.
I think you're talking about home field advantage throughout the playoffs, not a bye week.
Yeah, I could be wrong. It happens a lot. Ask my wife.
So
she's watching. She can tell you.
Yes. One pride. Yeah, I think he means the home field advantage. In order for that to happen, we need Green Bay, either the Vikings to lose and Green Bay to lose or something. There's a combination there. I haven't done all the math on it. But anyway, before I get too far greatly distracted here, so back to the episode, they finally get away from all these people and they're able to start going around and exploring, and they start finding the symbols of Takranad.
Yeah,
I think the Bears are playing tonight on Amazon. Absolutely. You wrong? Yeah, that happens.
It does a lot.
So hey, that information tracked. Your division kicked butt with Packers Vikings in the last season. Too bad, Bears. Yeah, it's the Bears. What are you gonna do?
The Bears.
The Bears.
Oh,
that's
a baker's dozen there, Bob.
Good old Saturday Night Live. So they start finding their way, and I mentioned Cathalops earlier, and the only way that they're able to get past this point is because they found this, then they find the etching on the floor, and they thought they were in danger, but Cathalops, this massive creature in the mud bath down there in the dark, couldn't get a good picture of him because he was, for the most part, in the dark. But anyway, he tells them, hey, you entertain me, and I will help you along on your journey. And by doing so, he crashes through the floor with one of his big tentacle thing. And crashes through the... I don't know what else to call it. We're just going to call it a tentacle thing.
Okay.
You got better? I mean, if you know better.
Anything I come up with is going to be worse.
Fair enough. Okay. I thought tentacle thing was pretty bad, so we're going to move along. I'm 99.999999% certain that is not the appropriate title for that appendage. But yeah, so they see that, they get through to the floor, and they get held up in this room because why wouldn't a pirate have a big pool of acid protecting his lair?
Yeah. I mean,
and
every good pirate lair is protected by at least a half dozen traps. I mean, we saw Goonies. We know how this works.
Right.
You just have to solve the puzzle to get through.
Right. And so there was a riddle there about making the ultimate sacrifice. Fern, of course, thinks that it's about sacrificing a life. Somebody's going to have to give their life in order to get past this. Yeah. But that's when he breaks out the line, you have a lot to learn about pirates. That is the show title, of course.
He said the thing.
He said the thing. They did the thing. Technically, a thing is like duct tape. It works for many different things. Exactly. It's the duct tape of words. It holds things together.
And duct tape is like the Force. It has a light side, it has a dark side, and it holds the universe together.
You've been waiting a while to use that, haven't you?
No, I use it pretty often. Like people at work think I'm weird.
They would not be incorrect.
No, they really wouldn't.
They really would not be. No, that's fine. But yeah, so the ultimate sacrifice was, of course, the one coin, and you see Jod hold it up with the force, and it's floating up above his hands, and he force throws it into the pool of acid. And for a second, it looks like nothing's going to happen, and then we get the toilet bowl swirl.
Yeah.
I mean, because, you know, it is a drain in the middle of the floor in a big body of water. So
right. I mean, okay. So when you were a kid, did you want to just like sit there and watch the tub drain sometimes because it was cool?
Yeah. Even still, when we have a full sink of water for whatever in the kitchen, you pull the plug and watch it go. It's just kind of cool to watch.
It is.
And that was kind of cool to watch too, because I was like, ooh, swirly drain.
Yeah. My only concern with that was there's still going to be some acid on that stone, isn't there? Are their boots okay?
Well, that's what I thought too.
But then I realized there's sound in space. I can let it go.
Exactly. We're talking about sci-fi adjacent science.
Yeah. There are space wizards with laser swords.
With things that make noise in space. So we can excuse the fact that the acid isn't burning their boots off and melting SM-33's feet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because it all drained off when they pulled the plug and they let the drain go down. So that was clearly not an issue.
Right.
But they get down there, they find all these different things. He tells them to start looking for a data port. Don't touch anything. And eventually, they find a way to play Captain Renaud's message, which, by the way, if you haven't caught on by now, Tack Renaud, the name Renaud, is a nice little nod to Richard Donner, who was, of course, the director of Goonies. Because this is a Pirates movie, it's a nice little nod. Renaud Donner. He's also the director of Superman and the better version of Superman 2.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about Superman 4. That was just
3.
See, I even forgot that existed. I went from 2 to 4.
Exactly. I mean, 3 wasn't horrible, but it has its moments.
Yeah.
And then there's
4 stands out as being just, you can't forget it. It hurts too much.
Well, Christopher Reeve deserved better.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. So they, as they're watching this, Jod asks Smee to play the message up to a certain point, has him stop it, and then he looks and challenges the captain in a pirate's duel.
But what's interesting about this recording is it's all glitchy.
Correct.
And you never see Renaud's face.
Yes, that is the one with Richard Pryor. Correct. We do not see Renaud's face, so we don't know who Captain Renaud is.
So one of the more interesting theories I heard today was that Smee is the captain. He's always been the captain of the ship.
Interesting.
And like all the other pirates just follow him because he knows the code, he knows the rules. Not so much that like he acts as the captain, but he just guides whoever wants to be the captain to be a pirate.
Interesting. So why would he remove the codes from himself then and tell them?
Good question. It doesn't hold up very well, but I thought it was an interesting concept for a start.
No, it's actually posing lots of questions. Little questions are going bing, 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 bing inside my head.
That's dangerous.
It is. And if it looked like I was struggling for a second there, it's because I was. My brain is like an Intel Celeron processor. I made this joke earlier today, and I quite like it. I struggle with single tasking, much alone multitasking. So, yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. Crusher Combo says, darn Selkind people who got rid of Donner in the best version of Superman 2. Exactly. If you have a chance and you can watch the Donner cut of Superman 2, please pay attention only to that cut. In my opinion, it's the better of the two Superman 2s, and it actually holds up. The other one got kind of wistful and wishy-washy, wibbly-wobbly, but no timey-wimey. Yeah, it's just not there. Yeah, they lost track without Donner. So Donner kept that series together. Superman 3, the highlight of that was when the lady turned into a cyborg. That was so creepy. It was. I remember that as a kid. It creeped me out. I wish Superman could have saved her and changed her back. That stuff just traumatizes me. I get that. Yeah, Donner 2 is actually the best cut. Absolutely. But yeah, so I haven't seen any cool theories about who Renaud might be. So that's the one with Smee is actually kind of interesting. I have some holes that I would need patched before I could step aboard that ship. But first and foremost, well, if he's the captain, why is he wiping his own memory to tear people limb from limb? Unless one of the other people who was acting as captain did that to protect. But that doesn't even make sense, because then where would that captain have gone off to? Or did Smee kill them, or did something happen?
Yeah. In all reality, I think Renaud is the supervisor.
It could be. Keeping them on edge, keeping the treasure buried, because At Attin's buried. This is buried.
I mean, the Onyx Cinder was there.
Yeah.
Buried.
Yeah.
Upside down, but buried.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Trapped in the Phantom Zone, 2000. Trapped in the Friend Zone.
Hey, it is possible to get out of that.
It does happen. Ask me how.
It's Kathleen.
So, yeah. I mean, I married my friend who didn't want to marry me at first, but 27 years later, here we are. Ta-da! Love you, baby. Anyway,
that woman's a saint.
You have no idea. Actually, you do. You do know. Ask the married guys; they know. Yes, yeah. Well, these two do.
Yeah.
Anyway, but then we see we go from the playing of it, and after only a couple seconds of playing, he stops it. I mean, that is Jod, or whichever name you'd like to call him by. This episode stops it at a certain point and challenges for the right of captaincy to take it away from Fern, and he immediately gets her in a bit of a chokehold with a knife to her neck and just telling her, "I don't want to hurt you, so please just, yield."
Yeah, this was a little scary.
A little tense, yeah. I was like, oh boy. I was like, Disney's not actually going to kill off a kid,
right? If it hadn't been a Disney production, I would have been concerned.
Right. Yeah. I was kind of in the same spot. I was at the point where I'm watching this going, he's a guy of pretty low moral character. Not to mention that the entirety of the episode, every single creature that meets up with him looks at the kids and says, "Do not trust this man."
Mm-hmm.
Even Catholics, after he smells him, goes, "Yeah, don't trust this guy." Pocket's like, "Be very careful. I wouldn't trust him if I were you."
Right.
And Merida would know. So, I mean, I'm just saying.
When other potentially untrustworthy types are telling you don't trust that guy,
there's a reason. There's a reason.
Yeah.
And then she's yelling at him because, we're just kids. This isn't fair. And then perhaps the scene I was both most excited about and disappointed about in this episode. Now, before we get to that, though, while all this is going on, we mentioned Pocket earlier and how she called to Brutus, had all these other pirates come. We see Gunter there. Urkel is there on planet, and they're ready to do some business. And they come down to where the acid room is. And right before he does this, he looks at Smee and says, "Fill the acid room." Kills the entirety of Brutus's men. 2 ships worth of pirates.
Yep.
It makes me believe that Jod has a pretty high body count out there somewhere, because he had 0 qualms about killing about 20 people with acid.
Yeah.
I mean, just like that. It was no problem and done. And so right after that happens, of course, now we get to this point, and then the scene that I was hoping to see happen. Wim has this whole time wanted so badly to be a Jedi, and he's so excited about being in an adventure and a Jedi's tale and doing all these things. And while they've been looking around this room, they show this lightsaber a couple different times. And Wim looks at it, and he had those longing eyes, like, "Oh yes, you will be mine." He's looking at like, "You and me, baby, right here. I got you. You're mine."
Like waiting in Guitar Center, looking at the Stratocaster.
Right? Oh yes, it shall be mine. But he grabs it and begins to threaten Jod that he needs to let Fern go. He, of course, then strikes up the lightsaber and nearly takes off his feet.
It's a good thing he adjusted his position slightly, because I mean, at first he was holding it kind of high. That could have gone very badly.
Yeah.
Any higher from where he had it there would have gone very badly.
Have you ever watched Robin Hood Men in Tights?
Yes.
Friar Tucks.
Yeah. Actually, you should see if you can get me and Isaac together again sometime. We will do the song and dance number if properly motivated.
Men in tights.
Yes, indeed. Properly motivated.
Looking for fights. Women. Anyway, okay. That's gonna get stuck in my head the rest of the night. Thanks, John.
Yeah, no problem. What I do.
But yeah. So yeah, any higher he would have, if he wasn't already of the circumcised nature, he definitely would have been, or eunuch, possibly. So,
lovely singing voice.
Lovely. Anyway, but that instantly reminded me of lightsaber guffaws in the Star Wars universe, because A New Hope was almost a very, very short movie.
Yeah.
Because after that scene right there, staring down the barrel of the
45.
Yeah, exactly. It could have been, written and directed by George Lucas, and story's over. So
we're going to need another Arthur.
Yeah. We have Wim standing there and he's holding it like this for a second, and then he changes his stance. I was like, oh man, this is cool. Wim's going to get to be that guy. He's going to get to have his Jedi moment. He's going to be the coolest little Padawan who wants to be a Jedi. And then he dang near cuts his feet off and runs and cowers in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Over by where the other three are, because at this point, Fern has yielded. Jod has let her go, and she's over by the table where they found a trapdoor release earlier, and very much like something straight out of Goonies, to get away from Jod, because he tells SM-33 or Mr. Smee to take these four into custody for possible future mutiny.
Yeah.
And mutinous intentions, I think is what he called it.
Yes, mutinous intentions.
Yeah, and so they drop through the floor, and one of the coolest ending shots ever, in my opinion, we see Jod call for the lightsaber, snatch it out of the air, and the episode ends.
Yeah. So speaking of the saber,
yes,
that's a really cool design.
It is,
but it's white and gold.
Yes,
that's a High Republic saber.
Yes, it is.
So why did Renaud have it? Where did he get it? Who did he kill to get it? Steal it from?
Well, I think it's going to have to go back. This is going to have something to do, and this ties into this. What's coming up next in the Skeleton Crew? I think this all ties into what we're seeing develop in this story. They're talking about how At Attin was a mint for the Old Republic.
Yeah, a planet of infinite treasure. They just keep making more.
They can make all they want. It's a planet of infinite money, which for a pirate is the planet treasure. This actor looks a little like Tom Sizemore. Rest in peace. I never thought about that. Hold on. In that picture, yes, I can see that. He does look a little bit like Tom Sizemore in that picture. Interesting.
Okay, so I need to confess another thing. Who's Tom Sizemore?
An actor.
Okay, I mean, I know I could look it up, but I just wanted you to know there's more stuff I don't know.
But yes, in that pic. He's one of the bigger characters in Saving Private. He played a bigger character in Saving Private Ryan. As soon as you see them, you'll go, "Oh, I know him," and you've seen him in a ton of stuff.
All right. Kind of like Gary Oldman.
Played exactly. Well, yeah. No offense to Tom Sizemore, and like Granzier said, rest in peace, Tom Sizemore. But Gary Oldman was far more talented. But Sizemore was a good actor, very, very good actor. He often played a criminal, a kind of a thuggish, low life character. He played those beautifully. But he played somebody I think from New York in in Saving Private Ryan. He had the accent. But yeah, Saving Private Ryan, True Romance. There's a bunch of movies that he was in, absolute ton of stuff. But look him up after the show, and I guarantee you're going to see his face and go, "Oh yeah, I recognize him." More of a character actor, absolutely.
And we need good character actors.
Exactly. Oh, here we go. Amazing actor, Black Hawk Down, Heat, Natural Born Killers. Yeah, he's been in an absolute ton of stuff. But yeah, he's instantly recognizable as soon as you see him.
Okay.
But I think getting back to what we were talking about, I think Jod, we're going to find out that this treasure lair that we found is stock from Old Republic things. That's why there's Old Republic credits there. We're finding an Old Republic saber. We're going to find a lot more Old Republic stuff. And there's a couple different reasons for this. Okay. In my opinion, with everything that's coming up in Disney, we have an Old Republic movie coming out. We have we need Old Republic tie-ins. For those who don't read the books, if there's not a visual media tie-in, then it didn't exist. And that was also one of the things that hurt the Acolyte, is that people didn't have that tie-in, and there wasn't enough for them. And so, they never talked about that in the movie. So anyway, I'm going to get off on a tangent. I'm going to need to shut up. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, there's a bunch of older. I think we're going to find some Old Republic tie-ins, because with everything that's coming from Disney and Lucasfilms, they want to have those tie-ins to kind of knit this thing together. And I am a firm believer that Dave Filoni, being the director of continuity and all the things that he does at Disney for Lucasfilm, he likes to have those things tied up, to have this thing tied up to this thing and have these things mesh. And so, wonder how many times I can do that on screen. Anyway, but yeah, I think that's what we're going to find. And I think that's probably why we have an Old Republic lightsaber here. This makes sense to me.
That makes sense.
And by the way, if that thing comes available on Level Up Sabers, link available down in the show notes down below. But if that becomes available on Level Up Sabers, I don't know that I won't be able to not buy it, because that was a beautiful hilt.
It really was.
And gorgeous.
Obviously, since Pirate, what's his name? Man of many names, has the saber, it's going to show up again later in the story.
Oh, you mean Crimson Jack, Captain Silvo, Dash Zenton, Chadwick Sank?
What's his face?
Jod Na Nawood.
Yeah.
Professor Gorlox.
I'm pretty sure Wim's going to get a redemption moment with the saber.
I sure hope so. I mean, that would be just really cool if he did, because we've got 3 episodes left. We've got 6, 7, and 8 coming up. Now, episode 6 is directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. And everything, I'm trying not to go into this with too high of hopes. But everything that she has touched in the Star Wars world, in my opinion, has been absolute gold. So I'm hoping that this episode will be no exception, rather. Let's see. Grazier says, I was in the U.S. Army in Aviation. We had orders to go to Somalia. Unit was getting inactivated. Then the battle of Somalia happened. Black Hawk Down. Orders got rescinded. Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
kind of heavy.
Wow. Yeah.
Woof. Well, I'm glad you're okay. Holy crap.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, as far as our episode tonight, that's all, folks.
I mean, we're at the end of second act. We're going into the third act. The heroes are at their lowest possible point. They've got no ship. They've got no droid. They've got no lightsaber.
No reasonable, feasible expectation of safety or escape. Yeah.
Yep. High chance of death. Small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
What could possibly go wrong from here?
I need you to roll for that.
No. I know that. That's a nat 1 if I ever saw one. But yeah. So I'm looking forward to the next couple episodes, and I think we're gonna have some. We've hit that point in the Star Wars storyline in these 8 episode arcs where they get to this point that we see in this episode 5, and then typically the last couple episodes are really kind of fast paced moving, and they're chunking right along, giving us a lot of information and stuff. So yeah, really kind of excited about that. Oh, yeah. Grazier says it was kind of wild. Out of 20 guys, there were also regular Army. I was in with basic. 8 or 9 of our guys in our group got sent to Somalia. No, not a problem at all. No need to apologize.
We're good.
All good, bud. If by the way, speaking of memory lane, just in case you weren't here earlier, if you haven't signed up for our free loot, go click the button down below. You could win a copy of Gladiator 2. That movie will be given away here very shortly, just after the first of the year. It is available now. You can go buy it anywhere. Or why spend your hard-earned money when you could win a free code for a digital copy of Gladiator 2? And that includes a whole bunch of extended cut scenes and deleted scenes and over an hour's worth of content not included in the film. Yes, Papa Pedro, Space Daddy is in there. So go do that. If you haven't signed up already, go sign up now. There's like I said, in the show notes down below, you'll find the link for it. Gimme.
You'll find when you're on the show.
You'll find the link for it down below and sign up, because you don't just get signed up for Gladiator 2. If you sign up for this, anything moving forward, you will get a chance to win anything else we have going. You're automatically included.
Yep.
Will we be doing a review of Gladiator 2? I don't know. We hadn't actually talked about it.
No, we hadn't. Might be something.
It could happen, Granzer. Yeah. You never know. I won't say no for sure. But then also one last parting thing. We also want to make sure that you guys are aware of Trek Talks on January 18th, 2025. Now, this is a 100% virtual event. There's no live attendance. There's nowhere for you to go. This will be done on their YouTube channel. It's going to be hosted by John Billingsley, Dr. Phlox from Star Trek Enterprise, which was also a starship, but that's another thing. Did you have something? You were
No, I was like scratching my face.
Oh, I thought you were holding up a finger. Like, hold on a second. Okay. Well, when the smaller screens off to the side of the slide, it's kind of hard to tell.
It is.
But anyway, so John Billingsley, Dr. Phlox of Star Trek Enterprise, and Bonnie Gordon, the voice of the ship's computer from Star Trek Prodigy. It'll be hosted by those two. A tremendous number of Star Trek people are going to be involved in this, and there is so much going on that day. So please be in attendance on January 18th, 2025. There's a ton of cool Star Trek people involved, including, of course, John Billingsley, Bonnie Gordon, Jonathan Frakes, Brandon Braga is involved, Nana Visitor's involved.
I'm listening.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch more. I can't remember them all, but those are the ones I remember off the top of my head. I want to say Tim Russ is also involved. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's a whole lot of really cool Star Trek actors involved, and they'll be doing panels all day. They'll be answering Star Trek questions and all kinds of things. But 5 days before that, on January 13th, John Billingsley will be right here on Monday night, January 13th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time to talk about not only Trek Talks 4, but any Star Trek questions you may have. There's an outside chance that Bonnie might be able to join him, but as of right now, we're going to say just John Billingsley. But we're thrilled to have them on the show. Being a Trek Talks ambassador, much like Crusher Convo is also a Trek Talks ambassador, and John will also be on Crusher Convo as well, I believe, to help promote Trek Talks 4. So if you can't make it to our live event, maybe you can make it to her live event and support Jesse as well. Yeah, it's a wonderful benefit. They support the Hollywood Food Coalition, which gets food to people who really do need it. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Jonathan Frakes, down girl. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
All right, so 110. I couldn't remember the date, Jesse. Thank you. So yeah, so on 110, make sure you're following Crusher Convo here on YouTube if you're not already, because well, they're awesome and Jesse has amazing Star Trek content. Jolene Blaylock, is to poll, I would love to get her on the show. She's one of the people. I've actually tried reaching out to her. I haven't had any success as of yet, but who knows? That might still could kind of sort of happen. Hey, maybe Crusher Convo and I can tag team and get to poll on the show together. Hey, who knows? We'll try, because we like Jesse and doing interviews with Jesse would be fun. January 10th, John Billingsley on Crusher Convo. January 13th, John Billingsley here on the FSF PopCast. And then January 18th, John and Bonnie for the Trek Talks 4, along with their menagerie of super duper cool Star Trek guests. This is Joe only retired from acting. Doing Lower Decks was a surprise. Yeah. Ooh, cool. She's in. Yay.
And Lower Decks was awesome. They need a second series. New series, same premise. I loved it.
I would love it too, because that is one of the shows, because Crusher Convo, Jesse recommended that show to me to try and get me into Trek, and it totally worked. Yep. So it worked. It's a great way to get people into the show. And the great thing about it is I didn't feel like I had to have knowledge of Star Trek in order to enjoy the show or appreciate what's going on. There was enough craziness and frivolity in the show that you could enjoy it for what it was. But yeah. Oh yeah. Jeffrey Combs is hard to get. And I'm going to say this and not to make him sound bad or anything. But we typically, well, I won't say typically, we have never paid to have a guest on the show. Every guest that we've had on the show has come out of their own free will, their own want, and we've never paid for a guest to be on the show. And Jeffrey Combs' agent wanted him to get paid, and what he was requesting was just not possible for a show that, well, we don't make money off this. We do this because we want to. We do it because we have fun with it. It's a stress relief for us. It's a way to talk with our nerds and have fun with them. But yeah. You made Jackie proud of that. I wear that badge with honor, as well you should, because I was the one who mocked Star Trek before I watched that. It was let's just say it was over $500. And that was, for me, a show that doesn't make enough money. Like I said, we don't make money from doing this. So $500 was outside of my realm of capability. So, but yeah. Yeah. Pay for one celebrity, others may ask. I should give it. Exactly. And it's not that we don't respect them or we don't want them to get paid for what they do.
Right.
Absolutely. We want them to get paid for what they do. But, as I tried to explain to his agent, and maybe it's a different agent now, but the payment is the trade-off. We get exposed you to our fans, that's kind of the payment, but the exposure. And I try to explain that we also have a 215,000 member Facebook group that we'd be planting that into, and Jeffrey Combs is often mentioned inside the group, but it is what it is. So, but yeah, yes, $500 for 1 hour. So
at the
it was
same
just
time,
outside of our ballpark.
I understand not wanting to get paid in exposure.
Exactly. No, I get it.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's going to sound worse than it is. I'm definitely not dogging Jeffrey Combs or his agent.
No,
because there's plenty of actors out there who want to get paid for their time.
Yeah,
and their time is worth something. It absolutely should be. And I am by no means besmirching that in any way, shape, or form. It's just, now if I was a podcast that had, we're more rambling at this point, Kathleen, but thanks for noticing.
Yeah.
But if we were a podcast that had, a couple 10,000, subscribers, and we were getting paid by YouTube, and we were getting, paid by, Coca-Cola or Pepsi or whatever other sponsors.
Manscaped and NordVPN.
No. Because all the show sponsors that we showed you up front, those are all what we call affiliate sponsors. So we only get paid if you buy something from them. So that doesn't mean you have to go buy something from them. But if you want good coffee, buy Bones Coffee. It's really good. I enjoy it.
If you want to
buy from Level Up Sabers. They're an amazing saber, and their owner is fantastic. If you want cool nerd merch, buy from TCTs, because especially if you're a Midwestern person, they got some they got some great nerd merch. They have a beard trimmer. Yeah, that's what it is. Totally a beard trimmer. Yeah. So anyway, let's see. Oh, Holly watched the first 2 episodes of Skeleton Crew and loved it.
Mom!
Folks, we have a winner.
Yes.
We have a winner. And the noise of the trains means we need to go. We've officially been here on for an hour.
Does it?
Well, it doesn't mean it, but I like John's sweater. Very sharp, sir.
Oh, thank you. My mother-in-law got it for me last year as an anniversary present.
Aww.
Yeah.
The kids just ran through the paper towel to use as a parachute.
Somehow, the idea of my kid running anywhere just reminds me of the video that's very popular on the internet. Somebody gave me fire!
That, by the way, is the perfect realization of my children. Because my first two are like the first one when they were little.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Kendall. Somebody gave me fire! Yeah.
Probably one of the older ones.
Yeah, because by that time they were no longer look, somebody gave me fire. It's somebody gave me. Yeah. So anyway. All right. On that note, guys, may the force be with you as you continue to live long and prosper. Goodbye.
Copyright 2024 FSF PopCast. Reference any specific product or entity mentioned on this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by FSF PopCast. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have any questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at info@fsfpopcast.com.